I do think some of your members are giving you guys a bad name. Let's just watch some recordings of some of the language that you guys have been using. Roll the tape.
It's important to clarify that Black Hebrew Israelites have no connection historically or theologically with Ethiopian Jews, who are legitimate Jews. So where do Black Hebrew Israelites get this idea that they are the true Jews or true descendants of the lost tribes of Israel? This belief is primarily based on a misinterpretation of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. Black Hebrew Israelites assert that this verse is a prophecy about the transatlantic slave trade, which was the transportation of African slaves to the Americas on ships between the 16th to 19th centuries. Deuteronomy 28. And Yahweh will bring you back in ships to Egypt, a journey that I promised you should never make again. And there you shall offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but there will be no buyer. What's ironic about the use of this verse by Black Hebrew Israelites is that it completely undermines their entire theology. What do we mean? First, there's no reason to assume that every single curse listed in Deuteronomy has come to pass. But even if we grant that premise, Africans are the one group of people we know this verse cannot apply to. The verse says, "You will sell yourself." The African slaves in the transatlantic slave trade didn't sell themselves. They were horrifically kidnapped and then sold against their will. The verse also says, "But there will be no buyer." Obviously, this does not apply to Africans during the transatlantic slave trade, since they had buyers from all around the world. Who and what could this verse apply to then? Africans are the one group of people we know this verse cannot apply to.
If 119 Ministries were to take Deuteronomy 28:68 seriously, they would admit that there's a strong possibility that this verse applies to the African Negroes who were horrifically captured and sold against their will. We decided to take 119 Ministries' advice to test everything, and we found their refute of the Black Hebrew Israelites to be more of a stratagem than a refute.
Africans are the one group of people we know this verse cannot apply to. The verse says, "You will sell yourself."
In Matthew 18:16, the Bible reads that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word may be established. Deuteronomy 28:68 in the Tyndale Bible version, it reads, "There ye shall be sold." In the KJV 1611 version, it reads, "There ye shall be sold." And in the modern KJV, it reads, "There ye shall be sold." We did not find a version of the Bible that says, "Ye shall sell yourselves."
The African slaves in the transatlantic slave trade didn't sell themselves. They were horrifically kidnapped and then sold against their will.
The African Negroes were horrifically captured and sold to their enemies. And according to Deuteronomy 28:68, the text reads, "There ye shall be sold unto your enemies." We failed to find the Bible version that 119 Ministries uses to argue their point. It appears 119 Ministries used an altered text for Deuteronomy 28:68.
So where do Black Hebrew Israelites get this idea that they are the true Jews or true descendants of the lost tribes of Israel? This belief is primarily based on a misinterpretation of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. It's important to clarify that Black Hebrew Israelites have no connection historically or theologically with Ethiopian Jews, who are legitimate Jews.
It's important to clarify that 119 Ministries does not have the right to determine who does or does not have a historical or theological connection to the Black Hebrew Ethiopian Yahudim. There are several Black Hebrew Israelites in Africa or from Africa that have a historical and theological connection to Yasharal and Yahudah, commonly known as Israel and Judah.
So where do black Hebrew Israelites get this idea that they are the true Jews or true descendants of the lost tribes of Israel? This belief is primarily based on a misinterpretation of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68.
My question is, why wouldn't 119 Ministries use the Tyndale Bible version, the KJV 1611 version, or the modern KJV version of Deuteronomy 28:68? It appears that 119 Ministries, through their own eisegesis, stratagem, and subterfuge, they've made an attempt to not only undermine the history of African Negroes during the transatlantic slave trade, but have used an altered version of Deuteronomy 28:68 to do so. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while he slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the grain had sprouted and produced a crop, then the tares also appeared. So the servants of the owner came and said to him, Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have tares? He said to them, An enemy has done this. The servants said to him, Do you want us to go and gather them up? But he said, No, lest while you gather up the tares, you also uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest, and at the time of the harvest I will say to the weepers, First gather together the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. The Bible has more than 450 translations into English. The New American Standard Bible, the NASB, was first published in 1963, and with the most recent edition published in 1995. The Tyndale Bible, however, is credited with being the first English translation from Hebrew and Greek texts. My question is, why wouldn't 119 Ministries use the Tyndale Bible version, the KJV 1611 version, or the modern KJV version of Deuteronomy 28:68?